Hello and welcome everyone to today's AME Conference Room Host Training. I am Darlene King, Director of Administrative Services for AME, and I will be your moderator. The first thing I want to do is to thank you for signing up to volunteer at the conference in San Diego. We truly could not execute the conference without the help of our volunteer community. Today's presenter is Ellen Semensky. Many of you know Ellen, but for those of you who don't, Ellen has been a volunteer of AME for 12 years and chaired the AME Jacksonville Conference in 2014. Most recently, Ellen has taken on the role of VP of Volunteer Support. Before we start, just a couple of items. You will be in listen-only mode throughout the webinar. If you have questions, please type them into the question area in the attendee panel and click on Submit. We will review the questions at the end of the presentation and answer as many as we can. We will be recording this webinar and providing a link to everyone who has registered. Now, I am pleased to introduce Ellen Semensky. Take it away, Ellen.
Thank you, Darlene. I am in the AME office today with Darlene and Judy, and I know there's some other AME staff members on the phone, so thank you guys for joining as well. If there are any questions that the room hosts have that I can't answer, I'm sure the AME staff is more than capable of providing those answers. Okay, you guys are here for workshop room host training. I know Darlene already said thank you, but I want to say thank you again. AME could not be what it is or do what it does without volunteers like you who donate their time and energy. So thank you guys very much for signing up to be room hosts, and thank you for all that you do. Those of you who are long-term volunteers, thank you for all that you do throughout the rest of the year for AME. And those of you who are new, thank you so much for joining us this year, and we hope you'll love your volunteer experience so much that you'll continue to volunteer with us. I want to tell you guys why this job is important. Workshops give attendees a chance to take a deep dive into a topic with a subject matter expert. So these workshops have been vetted by our workshop co-chairs for the San Diego conference. And the presenters have been chosen based on past recommendations and their tie-in with what AME wants to offer to our attendees in terms of the conference theme and learning and development opportunities. So they've been specifically chosen, and it's really important that attendees who have paid for these workshops get a chance to be in the right room and with the right presenter and learn what they expect to learn from these workshops. As a workshop room host, you're also going to have the chance to interact with every attendee during check-in and then throughout the workshop. So you're sort of the voice and face of AME. So we want to remind you guys to be positive, be polite, be happy, and use your fantastic people skills to troubleshoot any issue. Before you arrive in San Diego, you just need to relax. This job has no pre-work, unless you really want some pre-work. In which case you can go and watch a brief video about how to use the On Arrival app, which is the way that we'll be checking in attendees for workshops. More on that in a minute. When it is workshop time, you're going to pick up the workshop packet sort of from the registration desk, and that packet will have AV forms, a room diagram, bios, etc. in it. We'll ask you to pick up a flip chart if the speaker has requested one, a clicker, a slide advancer for the laptop, an iPad, again, for checking in those attendees, and then the prompt signs for 5 minutes left and 10 minutes left. It's important to be in the room about half an hour before your workshop starts so that you can use that AV form to just check and make sure the room is set up the way the speaker has requested it. Set up the flip chart, understand how the lights work in the room, and then if there's any issues with AV or the temperature in the room, contact Sarah or Desiree to help resolve those. And their numbers are located in the FAQ section of this presentation at the end. At the door, you're going to be checking in attendees once they start to arrive, and you'll be using the iPad and, as I mentioned before, that On Arrival app. And you will receive some on-site training for that On Arrival app. So if you don't have time to watch the webinar beforehand, no problem. We'll give you some education right there in San Diego. You'll either scan the person's badge or check his or her name off the list once you bring up the proper workshop session. If the person is not registered, if somebody comes to the room, says that they are on the list and they're not, you can't find them, please direct that person to the registration desk in the Palm foyer on the second floor of the hotel, and that the folks at the registration desk will sort out, whether he or she should be there, has paid, etc. Before you, a comment on that too, if there's somebody who comes and just is trying to be a last-minute registrant and there's space available, again, direct that person to the registration desk so that he or she pays, and then when that person comes back to the room, you can refresh the On Arrival app, and it should update pretty quickly with the latest and greatest information of who is registered for that session. Prior to introducing the speaker, welcome all of the attendees, remind everybody to silence their cell phones. When the session ends, tell them when it's going to end, tell them when the break schedule is. In the morning, the break is at 9:45, and in the afternoon, it's at 2:45. Let them know that there will be some Q&A at the end. Presenters, more than likely, we're happy to take questions throughout the workshop. So they don't have to reserve questions for the end, but you can let them know there will be some time at the end for any additional questions. You can tell people what the Wi-Fi password is and make sure that they've downloaded the conference app, because they'll be using that to fill out the surveys at the end. We'd like you to introduce the speaker with the bio that was provided. And then about 20 minutes before the workshop is going to end, hold up a sign that tells the presenter he or she has 10 more minutes. And then 5 minutes later, a sign telling the presenter he or she has 5 more minutes. And that will allow you to leave 10 minutes for Q&A at the end. After Q&A is done, ask attendees to complete that online survey, again, using the app. So it's really important that we get feedback on how our presenters did and whether or not the content was what you expected, whether you learned what you were hoping to, so that the team for next year can determine whether or not that presenter should be invited back. We would like you to ask the attendees to clap, thank the speaker. Make sure the room is clean prior to leaving it, and then when you're all done with the workshop, return the iPad, the clicker, any flip chart, everything back to the registration desk. So I mentioned that you would be picking up your packet from the registration area on the second floor of the Hyatt, so that's where it's pointing to the Palm foyer, sort of in the middle of the picture there. The rooms that workshops will be taking place in are on the second floor as well as the third floor. On the second floor, it's the harbor ballrooms that you see off to the left. And on the third floor, it is Mission Beach and Torrey Hills, where you see those purple arrows pointing. So some FAQs. If someone comes to the room and he or she isn't on the list but wants to get in, what do I do? As I mentioned, please direct that person to the registration desk. Who on the staff is the main point of contact? And that would be Sarah or Desiree, and their numbers and emails are noted there for you guys. You will also be sent this slide deck, a recording of this webinar after the presentation, and the job description is on Sign Up Genius, where you indicated you were willing to sign up, and the job description is also on the AME volunteer webpage. So you get all of this. And if you have more questions, certainly direct them to me. Meals are not included with workshops. Breakfast is not being served, and neither is lunch. There will be coffee just before the workshop starts, so probably about 7:45 in the morning. If people need a cup of coffee, there will also be coffee and a small snack at the morning break at 9:45, and then again at the afternoon break at 2:45. But no substantial food will be served. So if people are hungry, they will need to go find that on their own. If there is an emergency or a major issue during the workshop, please call 911 first, obviously, and then Sarah. And for us, the most important part of this job really is checking to make sure the room is set up, doing any troubleshooting to make sure that workshop is running smoothly. And that troubleshooting might include, find the clicker doesn't work or the room temperature is wrong. And again, Sarah and Desiree are there to help you. That is the end of what I wanted to cover with you guys. So I know it's pretty short and sweet and a lot of information, but again, you'll be sent the link to this presentation. You'll be sent the link for the job description. I want to open it up to you guys for questions, but I also want to just say thank you again. I can't say it enough, but you know, AME couldn't execute these conferences without passionate volunteers willing to donate their time and energy. So you're amazing. Thank you for doing this, and I hope to meet those of you who I haven't met in San Diego. I hope to meet you while I'm there. I will poke my head into the workshops on Monday and come say hi. But if I don't see you, find me throughout the conference. I will be spending the majority of my time in the ballroom working on keynotes. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ellen. We do have one question that came in. Can I sit and participate in the workshop with everyone else?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. So again, you guys are volunteering, donating your time, and we want you to get something out of it. So definitely we want you to stay in the room and enjoy that workshop to the extent that you are able. And by that, I mean, if there is space in the workshop, it's not sold out, and there is a seat at the sort of main workshop table or tables, please feel free to take one of those seats once your hosting duties are done and join the rest of the participants. If the speaker has extra presentation materials, then you are also welcome to a copy of those. If there doesn't seem to be space at the table because the workshop is sold out, then we do want you to have a seat, you know, maybe just a little bit behind the table or sort of in the back of the room by the door, but still to be in the room and learning. And you're always welcome to ask, you know, if you can squeeze your chair in somewhere else. We're not trying to relegate you to the back of the room, right? But we just want to make sure that the people who are sitting in the main tables are the ones who have been there because they have paid to attend those workshops. Yeah, great question. Thanks. Are there any other questions?
You know, I have one more, Ellen. Here it is. Is there going to be Wi-Fi in the rooms?
There will be Wi-Fi in the rooms, and that password will be available. If you could look it up in the app, it's also going to be, I think that it's going to be noted in the room hosting description what the Wi-Fi password is, because part of your duty is to tell people what the Wi-Fi is, but that will be available, and attendees are more than welcome to log on to that Wi-Fi and take advantage of it. Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it. So Ellen, we just want to thank you for coming in today and doing this training for us and with us. And thank you for everybody who's dialed into the webinar, for taking the time and for volunteering in San Diego. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you guys again, and I will see you in a few weeks. Take care.